As you can hear from my voice, I'm still a little bit sick, but I gotta make this video and I promise it's going to be worth your while. As I was cruising through YouTube, I saw this video. You know this man and you know your boy. If I see stuff like this, I have to give you my opinion. Now, of course, this is not to bash Jeff. It's about to give you helpful advice because I remember back when I started with kettlebells, I was doing some pretty stupid stuff online. And now I know better, and I want you to know and do better so that you can get most bang for your buck return on investment. And if you're over 40 and you want to become strong, fit, and lean without going to the gym, download my free ebook. It's called the Kettlebell Code. You'll find it in the first link in the description. Grüezi miteinander, Gregory von Lebe Stark here. Let's listen to Jeff first.
Now here's an example once again where our bodies are looking for the easy way out. If you don't have strong enough glutes, which guess what, most of us don't, then we're going to look for help somewhere else in our legs, and this goes right to the quads. So instead of hinging back like you should, you just sort of squat yourself down and bring those quads into the fold.
What I think is special about Jeff Cavaliere and many of these fitness influencers is that they can be confidently wrong. And mea culpa, I was just like this. Because you are told as a YouTuber or as a content creator to be confident, otherwise people won't listen. The problem is if you step outside your zone, there is danger. The reason people squat the swing is not because they have weak quads. It's because they do not know how to hinge. And if this is your first time stumbling over a video like this where you want to learn the swing, try the hinge by just watching. If you don't have good kinesthetic literacy, you might run into trouble. And if we run into trouble, we default to movements that we know pretty well or that we think are the right ones. Also, what Jeff fails to point out is that the weakest link in the chain with the kettlebell swing is not the quads. It is the lower back. If you start swinging weights, the first thing that you're going to feel is the lower back.
You shouldn't necessarily worry about how the kettlebell moves through space. You just need to move through the proper hinging of the hips. I want to make sure I drop my ass backwards and then explode through and let the kettlebell drift as it will. With each subsequent correct rep, that kettlebell will actually float a little bit higher each time.
In his second point, he's not wrong, but he's lacking a little bit of nuance. When it comes to the swing, there's one important cue that you have to do in order to do the exercise the right way. So while the hinge catches the weight and initiates the movement, the momentum is created by crushing grapes beneath your feet and really pushing your glutes into the bell or the arm, and then the bell starts flying. Also, the bell is not supposed to fly even higher. 1, 2, 3, because if you do this, you then focus on a snatch. The goal with the swing is to always keep the kettlebell approximately at chest level. Now, I hate to sound like a broken record, Jeff, but your form is still a little bit off and you are still too tight. That tightness is the inability to let go. This is a major problem that bodybuilders have. It really messes with them because they're used to doing everything under tension. But it's tension and relaxation, not tension all the time. I learned this back from the late great Steve Carter. He taught me that tension is important, but we have to learn how to relax. And this is what the kettlebell teaches you. And if your form still looks like this years later, you haven't improved and you still do not understand what the kettlebell is all about. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot use a kettlebell, but it means that we have to take anything that people say who are not really experts when it comes to kettlebells with a little grain of salt. So here's how to do a proper kettlebell swing. Then 1/2 meter distance away from the kettlebell. Push the hips back, hinge, grab it with one hand or two hands, doesn't matter. Then you pull the bell between the legs and then you hip thrust it upwards by crushing grapes into the floor and then keeping the arm relaxed. The upper body doesn't do much. You only focus on the hips. There's also a second variation of the swing that we use often. It's a timing mechanism between the knees and the hips. It's called the pendulum swing. It looks similar, but a little bit softer. Watch. So here's the next thing that you have to do. Clean and press that like and subscribe button. Share with a friend who's interested in kettlebells. And if you made it this far, download my free ebook. It's called the Kettlebell Code. If you're getting started with kettlebells, you need a proper resource. And I've compiled everything that I've learned in the last 10 years and 6 years on kettlebells specifically into this ebook, and I've made it free, over 30 pages. And I think this is the perfect resource that you need to get started as a kettlebell practitioner. What are you waiting for? It's 100% free. You'll find it in the first link in the description.